But our next speaker is a man of many hats, an accomplished attorney at law, a seasoned government minister, a trusted representative of the people. He proudly served briefly as the 8th Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago. As Minister of Energy, he represented Trinidad and Tobago at the very highest levels of negotiation in the global oil and gas sector. Skillfully, the key word being skillfully, maneuvering complex relationships while keeping our nation's interests at the forefront. And of course, he is the proud Member of Parliament for Port of Spain North St. Anne's West. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a roused welcome to a patriot, a proud son of the soil, the Honorable Stuart Young, SC.
Stuart Young de moi. Stuart Young de moi. Stuart Young de moi. Is it? Looking for a cure for the cause.
Oh, you dealing with the boss?
PNM could have never take a loss. Everybody a vote for Stuart fast. Vote for Stuart Young is a must, yeah. PNM respect, original party, the rest of them are fraud. Is it? Yeah, man, a top ranking, aka whatever day, aka Mr. Universe, aka Eastside.
Good night, good night, good night. Port of Spain North St. Anne's West welcomes you all to the constituency, to our political leader who is on her way. As you know, we're doing the balancing act. We're dealing with the vagabonds in Parliament, with their fake and fraudulent and fictitious budget. To our deputy political leader, young Sanjeev Boodoo, to all party officers who are present, to our first citizen of Port of Spain, our very own Alderman Chinua Alain, to all of the members of the Port of Spain City Corporation, to all of you lovely people here with us in Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, and Belmont, and to all of you in Trinidad and Tobago. Oh, how good it is to be on a PNM platform proclaiming the truth. Here to deliver the facts, here to deliver the truth, and here, once again, to fight for Trinidad and Tobago. I have intentionally remained quiet since April 28th. And there are a number of reasons for that. But do not ever interpret silence for weakness. Big mistake. During that period of time, as someone who would give his life for Trinidad and Tobago, I have observed and heard and witnessed everything. And tonight, as you say, God is good. Tonight, God has brought me here to share some thoughts and some words with you in my very own constituency. I want to start by thanking all of Port of Spain North St. Anne's West for your faith, for your loyalty, for your support, and for returning me as your Member of Parliament on April 28th. But I won't stop there. I thank all of the thousands and thousands of people, not only in Trinidad and Tobago, but also from outside of Trinidad and Tobago, who message me on a daily basis. And I can't get into the type of messages they send. But your support, your encouragement, and your appreciation gives us the strength to continue the battle, because it is a battle. And it is our Trinidad and Tobago. Always remember that. And it is every creed and race find an equal place, despite the stupid talk you would hear. And there's someone here in the audience tonight, don't identify yourself, who really brought a special warmth to my heart 2 days ago. We've never met in person, but this person messages me somehow, well, I guess everybody has a number, and gives support and encouragement. And 2 days ago sent me a message to say, I want confirmation you're going to be on the stage in Belmont. I said, well, God willing, ma'am. She said, well, I am about to get on a plane to come to Trinidad just to hear you talk, and then I'm going back. So you know where you are here, because she called me when she messaged when she was on the plane. She messaged when she arrived in Trinidad last night. She spoke to me this morning. Thank you. And thank you to the thousands who continue to support us, the People's National Movement, knowing that we are the only ones who will stand in the breach and fight for what is right in Trinidad and Tobago. And I make no apologies whatsoever for being a fighter. None. And I will continue to fight as long as God gives me that strength. I am concerned as a citizen of Trinidad and Tobago, concerned about what we have seen in the last 5 months, concerned about the attacks on our vulnerable in society. I am concerned about how the government came in and they fired CEPEP workers, they fired URP workers, they fired reforestation workers. They started going through not only ministries but state enterprises and targeting people and firing people. And I will say it here tonight. It is unacceptable, and we know what you're doing, and there is an element of race in it, and that is not to be accepted. Because you see, I am afraid that race talk and that conversation, and we have to take it on. We have to expose it, because it is people who are suffering. I know. We know in Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, and the constituencies around. It is real people, real families who were working in CEPEP. So all this stupid talk that they come with about corruption and criminality, if they have that and if they had it, deal with that. You don't fire 10,000 people and put families on the breadline. That is wrong. They did it in CEPEP, they did it in URP, reforestation, everything. And you know what saddens me? We warned the population about this. We warned about this. But it is no use crying over spilt milk. But we will take the fight to them. And tonight, one of my colleagues in Parliament, when I say colleague, not a PNM, because that's my family. One of those on the other side said he was going and fight for the CEPEP workers, it's only the contractors. I'll tell them in the Parliament, but I'll tell you here now. Banking, Insurance and General Workers Union. I had a conference with them. It was one of the unions I work closely with and will continue to work with now that I'm back in practice as well. And the case is open. We are going to take it to court for CEPEP workers. So join Begu. Join Begu.
Great is the PNM.
And I have told Begu that I will lead that fight there for whoever wants the fight to be taken on. Because you see, you cannot just come and destroy lives in the callous manner that you are, and then come in a budget and in a small line item, put a $7 million and say you're winding up CEPEP. The courts don't work so. I don't know who giving you that advice. And to do all of these underhand things, and then come and say the Prime Minister will announce. She wasn't there for the whole day today. The Prime Minister will announce what they're going to do with $700 million. Trinidad and Tobago, watch it closely and watch it carefully, because we believe in equity. We believe in everybody having a fair chance. And if they make the mistake and come and handpick who is going to get that job, that support, we will not stand for it. Because the Constitution protects against discrimination and victimization. They came with a budget. And they're selling the budget as the greatest thing since sliced bread. And they're fooling people once again the same way they've been fooling. They're saying, well, look, we're going after those at the top of the food chain. And they're making it look and selling it as though it is those at the top of the food chain. But it don't work so. Let us take the tax on rental. So the tax on landlords, that they don't like it to be said is a property tax, because people taking all kind of technical terms and saying, well, it's not a property tax, it's only the landlords, it wasn't on residential the way. It is a tax. And let me ask you something. Which landlord who get in charge tax so his profit drops and he now has to pay money to the state? Which landlord going to absorb that and say, don't worry, tenant. You know, I go handle that. I hear the Minister of Finance all over the place saying, hey, and they said it in the Parliament, you all be kind, take your burden. Landlord's not going to do that. So rent is going to go up. And who you're trying to fool, we know you're going to target certain people. The LPG tax on £100 and up. And then they're saying, well, the small man does use a small tank. Okay, true. And then you had a minister go on live television and callously, when it's put to him, say, stay home and cook. Stay home and cook. But you have to be able to afford the food to cook home. And I am being told all along in certain areas in Trinidad where people are hurting, that the small parlors are seeing, even at the parlor level, and it's important we understand this, they're seeing a change in the purchasing patterns. That people before who could afford a loaf of bread and cheese, now they're coming in alone for the loaf of bread. No cheese. And this is what the government is doing to people. It is unacceptable. So let's get back to the LPG tank. Who you think uses those £100 LPG tanks? It is fast food places, it is restaurants, it is people that you buy food from. And that's why the minister, who ashamed to say at one stage was a member of the PNM, say, stay at home and cook. So when your LPG costs gone up, and then remember, they're increasing electricity rates on commercial and industrial. Once you have a business, which includes a food place, which includes a grocery, any type of business is considered commercial, so electricity going up, you think they're going to absorb those costs? Because taxing Tanku asked them to absorb the costs? It is all going to come down. And you know who's going to hurt again? It is the average person, and the man on the street is the same small man. So people, do not be fooled. It pains me. It pains me when I see, because one thing they're good at is PR. One thing they're good at is fooling people with communications. And let us welcome our political leader, Honorable Penny Beckles from Arima. Give her a warm welcome.
Our defender, a beacon of hope, our political leader, the next Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, the Honorable Penelope Beckles Robinson.
Maturita, had it Santa Rosa, had it Don Yaruka, had it when I Rima, had it Maturita, had it Santa Rosa, had it Don Yaruka, had it when I Rima, had it Maturita, had it Santa Rosa, had it Don Yaruka, had it had it
For the PNM, for the PNM, for the PNM.
This is about our children's future. We can't give up now. We must believe. We've come a long way to go.
Political leader, welcome to Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West. Warm, warm welcome. And let us congratulate our leader, who today dropped a sterling speech and response in the budget. Something worthy of the people's national movement and leadership. So I was talking about, do not be fooled by the shenanigans and by these charlatans now who are in office. So LPG price will go up, electricity will go up, rent will go up, and it is going to hit the small man. After you're done, fire them from their jobs. After you're done, not only KFC, the barbecue, the doubles, the Chinese food, the everything. You cannot fool the people. And these are the things the budget does. Let me tell you about the banks. They go on now and they issue levies on the banking institutions and insurance companies. And you know what frightened me with that? They put a little proviso, a little fine print as you call it. And they said, anyone in the special economic zone will not be subject to this. So Trinidad and Tobago tonight, keep your eyes open. Keep your eyes open and see which of their financiers, which of their friends, which of their family go and get a license for the special economic zone to get away from it. But you know banks is charged for everything. Banks have online banking. They're charging you for online banking, but that means you have less workers, less paperwork. So if they're getting charged for that, and the Banking Association has already come out and said that they're looking at it, expect the costs there to go up as well. Insurance is the same thing, but let me tell you all something that has me the most worried about what I see taking place. Because you have to look at where the attacks came and where the attacks were directed at. The first place in the financial system, which people is the heart and the backbone of an economy. The first place they targeted is the Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. First place they reach. And they got rid of the governor of the central bank. I am representing him, so I wouldn't say anything about that because I will be talking about it in court. But the first thing they did, and they put immediately, because they had him ready, is that their former Minister of Finance. And I'll tell you what unfolded there. So Central Bank down. The next place they attack is First Citizens Bank. First Citizens Bank, they lick it up, put their people inside, move the CEO, change the board. And when you look at the composition of the board, you have now a chairman of that board who's also chairman of UDCOT. And I saw something about how he complaining about everybody now asking him this and asking him that. Do not take it for granted. So FCB down. Right here in their budget document. In the budget document, they have told you what they're going to do. This is what they told you. We have installed new boards at First Citizens Bank and the Exim Bank. And we will move to install a majority of directors at Republic Bank Limited. It's in the papers today. And this is what he goes on to say. I am proud to announce that in our efforts to build economic fairness, Tobago's interests will be represented on all three boards with a Tobagonian on each board. Central Bank down, FCB down, Republic Bank down. When you begin to attack the financial institutions of an economy and of a country, let me tell you what will happen next. It is downgrade. Interest rates will go up. Bondholders who have Trinidad and Tobago's paper and who lend money to Trinidad and Tobago are now going to be looking on and saying, hold on, there's more risk because they have destabilized the financial backbone and heart of Trinidad and Tobago. And if that begins to happen, crapo smoke we pipe, and God help Trinidad and Tobago. Because after downgrade, interest rates gone up, and next thing is devaluation and the IMF. They are doing this in front of face. And let me tell you what else happened. They came in on the 1st of May. Today is the 17th of October. May, June, July, August, September. You can't touch money in October. 5 months. You know what we found out? Our foreign reserves, 600 million US, taken out of our foreign reserves, and we don't know where it has been spent. You know where those foreign reserves are held? Central Bank of Trinidad and Tobago. So when you move certain people, you now have easier access. You know what's the first domino effect of that? Our cover, foreign exchange cover, or foreign exchange reserves has now dropped from 8 months to 5 months. They've only been in power for 5 months. 600 million US gone. If we go any lower with that formula, you end up at the IMF. The next place that you have US, that is the Trinidad and Tobago's US, is the Heritage and Stabilization Fund. I didn't bring the book because it's big. Going through the revenue forecast for the next year, that document that you have to present to Parliament in a budget shows how much you estimated for 2024, 2025, how much you actually did. They call it a revised estimate, and then how much for 2026. You know what we saw for the first time in that document? $2.7 billion, TT dollars, taken out of the Heritage and Stabilization Fund in the last 5 months. That's about 400 million US dollars. So 400 million plus 600 million US dollars is $1 billion US dollars. $1 billion US dollars of hard currency, US, taken out by the government over the last 5 months. If that is not a clear indication of how destructive they are and the pathway that they have us, then you had to be blind. So Trinidad and Tobago, this is not about fear-mongering. It is about reality. This is what they are doing. We have to get answers from the government, and you, the citizens, are the only ones who could demand those answers, because we are not getting questions in Parliament. You have to ask this government, where has $1 billion US dollars gone in the last 5 months? Who got that billion US dollars? Because you hear the Minister of Finance boasting this week. Even him, as the Minister of Finance, gone to the bank and only got 200 US dollars. So if it hasn't helped the banks for the man on the street to get US dollars, where has 1 billion of our United States dollars gone in 5 months? And I am warning Trinidad and Tobago once again, cautioning that combination of Central Bank, FCB, and Republic Bank under this UNC government. If we don't monitor it, we don't call for accountability and transparency, you're going to wake up one morning and heaven help us. And you add that to what they're doing geopolitically. Because you see where we are geographically. We're 7 miles off the coast of Venezuela, largest oil reserves in the world. And then you have our ally, the United States, to the north, and we all know what's going on there. CARICOM is one of the most important bodies to provide every member of CARICOM with protection by keeping in solidarity. The first thing Kamala did is break out of that. We're going to lose, if we haven't lost it already, our sovereignty. Big word. What it means is we are making our decisions. When you start to combine all of these things, it is not a good thing for Trinidad and Tobago. And God forbid that anything untoward starts to happen 7 miles off our coast, or worse yet, closer. But that is what they have put us into. That is why the PNM's policy has always been non-intervention, non-interference. Remain a zone of peace in our area of the world. This is the Western Hemisphere. Keep your eye on unit trust as well, because there's another statement in here that I want to draw to our attention tonight. And it is where the Minister of Finance talks about how he going and pay the back pay. Right? And they were just boasting that, no, well, we ain't provide the money yet because there are negotiations and when it comes to a conclusion. But we had run the figures and we know what it's going to be. What he said in the budget document is he's going to speak to FCB, Republic Bank, and NIB, who we already know is under strain, to provide the money for this back pay. See the pieces of the puzzle coming together, and remember it is a PNM platform that drew it to the country's attention. Because that is our job, to highlight it, to tell the citizens of the danger, and then for us to be prepared to lead the charge, which we are. State of emergency. We're in a state of emergency, eh? We are in a state of emergency, and this for us in Port of Spain, and I'm sure the leader in Arima as well, was upsetting all. You remember they canceled Independence Day? Right here? No fireworks, fine. No parade. And what was the reason they gave? Security, state of emergency, correct? So you remember that? They gave the reason for no Independence Day parade, which is a patriotic parade, which is a parade held there in the capital city, right there, a few hundred meters away from where we are tonight. Security. This is today's Express editorial. Just over 2 weeks in, they're talking about this month, right? By contrast, the character of this month is a dark and ominous reality. Just over 2 weeks in, more than 28 murders have been recorded, disturbingly distributed across the country's geography. A 7-day period was the bloodiest week of the year, with 20 people murdered, including a triple murder in Friendship Village, San Fernando, a double murder of 2 brothers in Mount Hope, a deadly ambush and killing of a businessman in Chaguanas, and a double shooting at a bar in Valencia. Within the past days, a janitor was fatally shot in the Port of Spain shopping complex on Charlotte Street. The body of a missing Charleville businessman was discovered over a precipice on the North Coast Road, routinely traversed by beachgoers and soldiers trekking through, the forested area of the North Post Road, Diego Martin, happened upon a corpse. This relentless surge in violence continued with the shooting of a 9-year-old boy and his father in their Maloney Gardens apartment. On Wednesday morning, 4 were shot in Brasso Village. Among them were 2 brothers, schoolboys from Tabakit Secondary School. 1 man died. The others were 20 and 23. All of this under a state of emergency, the second for this year alone. That is an editorial today. They don't put it on the front page anymore, but it's in the editorial. That is not the PNM saying that. Those are the facts. The bloodiest month in the middle of a state of emergency. You cancel Independence Parade because of security. But let me ask you this. You didn't see them in CPL? You didn't see them in CPL? Let me tell you what we experienced when we went to Parliament for the budget this Monday. They had hundreds of people down in the square. I could tell you, as a former Minister of National Security, as a former Chairman of the National Security Council, if there really was a fear of some harm coming to ministers and high-profile people, the last thing you would want is hundreds of people all looking alike, because all of them in the same kind of jersey, all chanting, all kind of thing, right there on top of the Prime Minister. And that is what they did this Monday. I saw the Minister of Homeland Security. And the next one who they say under threat, who under threat for the CEPEP and the URP and this kind of thing, the Minister of Rural Development and Local Government, shacking in Woodford Square. I am asking Trinidad and Tobago tonight, they cancel Independence Day, saying security concerns. They scale back Republic Day. Things that happen in Port of Spain. But that is what you do on Monday of this week in the bloodiest month of the year just finished, bloodiest few weeks. You pay people to come down to Woodford Square and to line up all over the place. Hundreds of people. If there was anything to happen, wouldn't that have been the perfect time for something to happen? So who telling the truth? And then, you know what? Every single way you turn now, they're having a celebration in a constituency. They're having a celebration here, there, and everywhere. The same ministers taking tea and tech in their constituency. You cannot fool the people of Trinidad and Tobago. And the People's National Movement is here to always shine the light of truth for the people of Trinidad and Tobago, and to fight for the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So what is the real reason that the Independence Day parade was cancelled? Is it because it's in Port of Spain? Is it that you don't like Port of Spain? Is it that you have a problem with Port of Spain? Is it that you're frightened you get boo in Port of Spain? Huh? Because the PNM can go anywhere in the country. The only party to make sure we always field candidates in the 41 constituencies and every electoral district of a local government election. And as we're talking about Port of Spain, them same books with the budget, let me tell you what they did to Port of Spain. Our development program, which is where we get the important projects done in Port of Spain. 2025, they had $19,750,000 in the development program. So say $19,750,000. You know what the UNC did this year? $4 million. So they take away $15 million from the city of Port of Spain. Why? They're going to tell you about, oh, well, they only spent 800 and something thousand. But you know why? Because they refuse to approve all of the releases being sent by Port of Spain to create this fake narrative. So they intend to lick up Port of Spain because they have a local government election coming. And they seem to have a problem with Port of Spain. But as the MP for Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, you have plenty more problems coming your way. Plenty. Look outside here and you will see Central Block, Port of Spain General Hospital. If you all don't open that in the next few months, we will be outside that hospital waiting for you. Because it is the people of Port of Spain, Diego Martin, Lavantil, all of us who are looking for employment in that hospital. And just because it's built by the PNM, don't play, you're coming to lick it up. Let me tell you, 2 line items so you'll understand the vengeance and the venom they turn in on us in Port of Spain. local roads and bridges. They have reduced the local roads and bridges in the budget for Port of Spain City Corporation from $6 million to $500,000. So you're going from $500,000 a month to look after our roads and bridges in Port of Spain, and you give us $500,000 for the year. So Port of Spain, we taking that? Right. Drainage. They reduced drainage for Port of Spain City Corporation from $6 million to $500,000. And then they will use that to talk about flooding in Port of Spain. And all sorts of problems in Port of Spain. We are blind and we are stupid. And we see what you're doing. But you know what's the most offensive part? And I believe in equity. I believe in not playing the geographic politics, because we didn't do that as the PNM. Every single year for the last 10 years when we were preparing budgets, we sat down, you made sure corporations had roughly the same. You know what they did? Chaguanas Borough Corporation, 2025, they had 17.25 million in their development program. This year, they give them 37.9 million, an increase of over 20 million. Penal Debe Regional Corporation, 2025, they had 17.15 million. 2026, they give them 38.1 million, over 21 million increase. Princestown, 2025, 17.35 million. This year, 37.4 million, over 20 million increase. And me, I have no problem with the people there, because you have your problems too. But don't come and attack us in Port of Spain and try to lick us up. And listen, the mayor will tell you all what they've done with garbage collection. So I'm warning all of our burgesses and all of our constituents now in Port of Spain North, St. Anne's West, what they have done with the garbage collection, because it sickens me. Garbage collection. The PNM 2025 budget was $21.3 million. You know how much they give us this year? 13.2, a reduction of 37%. They're going to play the politics with garbage collection because it irritates all of us citizens, when we have a dirty community. But this is what the UNC is doing, and they're doing it in your face. So people, the last thing I will touch on for tonight, because we have a debate going on in the parliament and our leader is here to speak to us, is I'm putting us on another warning. There are cases in the High Court and cases in the court system that are fighting white-collared crime. There are cases inside there. By now, every citizen should know about EMBD. And that there's a former minister there, another minister with Eden Gardens. These are matters before the court. But we are also seeing what they're doing to these matters. And they try to do it in creative ways. I have been asking for over a month now, almost 2 months, about the NGC SIS arbitration for the Beetham wastewater corruption and the fight against that. And I have asked repeatedly, the Prime Minister, the Minister of Energy, the NGC board, did NGC not win that arbitration and receive an award of over $350 million against SIS? And it was on a Christmas Eve in 2015. We went and froze $180 million of SIS assets because we were worried about fleeing the jurisdiction. They have said nothing because that is the disdain and the disregard they have for us. But NGC won the matter. And you know why they're delaying? To allow SIS, I suspect they're delaying to allow SIS to file action in court, to then come and say, well, SIS appealing the matter, they're challenging the matter. That is how they will deal with things. We saw what went on with the Jack Warner matter. We saw what went on there. They still have a ticket available to go out the country, Right? These matters before the court, let's keep a close eye on it. Because we're asking questions and we're not getting answers. And there's special ways they could go about trying to discontinue or to do things to matters, changing the lawyers, trying to find ways not to prosecute the matters. These will have long-standing effects on us as citizens. Because if you can't fight the corruption in the court, where are you going to fight it? And we know that these cases are good. The EMBD case, you had a judge, Justice Abood, in August 2020 say there's a case to answer. The case went all the way to Privy Council. There is a case to answer. All of a sudden now we see maneuvers starting to take place. Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement, is here to look after your business. But we need your support. Trinidad and Tobago, the People's National Movement, is the only choice. You made a mistake on the 28th of April, and plenty always be on my phone with buyer's remorse and regrets, etc. We can't change the past. Get behind those who will fight for the country and will save this country. Because if in 5 months they could take $1 billion and we don't know where it's gone. There's another thing here in this budget where they start to talk about the expansion of CEPEP. I will deal with that in the parliament. We are here to look after your business. Port of Spain, North St. Anne's West, I thank you sincerely again. Political leader, I thank you for the opportunity for tonight. PNM, Trinidad and Tobago, let your heart not be troubled. Because you have a team in the People's National Movement that will fight for what is right for Trinidad and Tobago. And you could certainly count on me to be part of that fight all the time, every time. Because you see, I accustomed to hurdles, I accustomed to them kind of thing. And we will persevere and we will prosecute on your behalf. So tonight, stand by. Stand by when we force them to open Central Block. Stand by when we want our Savannah clean. Stand by when they drown in us with no money for bridge and road and no money for drainage. When they put in pressure on the mayor, the aldermen and the councillors all across the country once you name PNM. Because they know what we have to offer. I thank you. I thank you. I thank you. And listen, great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. And we shall prevail.
Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM.